this around to anybody that would accept it. And to this day, almost none of it is verified. McCabe, Comey, Struck, Page, they must be held accountable. The goal for me is to let you read it for yourself, to declassify all of this. I met with Attorney General Barr Friday, and our goal is to declassify as much as the Horowitz report as we can and let the chips fall where they may. I'm not after revenge, but I am after holding people accountable. This is going to be a defining moment for the Department of Justice and FBI. And let me tell you about Bill Barr. He is the right man at the right time.
Good.
I have a question. Could you explain the red flag law? The red flag
law. Okay. How many of you own a gun? How many of you own an AR-15? Me too. It ain't the gun, it's the person with the gun. Start with that proposition. Now people ask me, Lindsey, why do you own an AR-15? I said, well, I don't ask you what movies you watch or what books you read. So I got a right to own it. I actually bought it with a bunch of other guys, and I think one gal that served in my reserve unit in Afghanistan, and put our seal on the gun. I shoot it. Here's why it might be important. Remember Katrina? Remember Hugo? If there's a natural disaster, a hurricane, tornado, some bad thing, and the cops can't get to your house, which can happen, and the bad guys are roaming around the neighborhood, guess which house they're going to go to last? Now, I don't want unstable people owning any gun or having any bullets, but I'm a law-abiding citizen. The number of bullets is not it either. There was a lady in Atlanta, a guy broke into her house, just got out of jail. She ran up to the closet, hid with her 2 daughters. He broke into the closet. She had a 6-shot revolver, shot him 6 times. He stumbled out. Do you care if she had more bullets? I've worn her 600 bullets. I don't want crazy people having any bullets. So here's the deal. It's going to be a grant program, not a federal law. But I'm working with the president, talked to his team today. We got to do something about the following. 40 visits to the cruise guy in Parkland, Florida, and the cops did nothing. An FBI hotline tip, he's threatening to shoot people at his school. Social media posting talking about killing people at his school, and he did. The cops, God bless them all, need tools to protect us. There will be due process. Nobody's going to take your gun away. But if you got a rape list and a kill list, maybe somebody ought to be talking to you about owning a gun and walking around town. The bottom line here is too many of these cases come up. We're trying to empower law enforcement, not ex-wives, ex-husbands, to go to court, make the case that this person is a danger to themselves and others, and do something about it before it's too late. I think the president is right to want to do this. Plenty of due process to protect the gun owner. But ladies and gentlemen, we live in a crazy, dangerous world. These video games, all this stuff is driving hate, and we need to do something about it.
Lindsey, I'm in complete agreement with you that Dutch should not have guns. My concern is what you're guarding against right now with these liberal judges versus conservative judges, that all things, well, that law might be, it could be, all seems good as this.
Yeah.
So my concern with the red flag law is that at some point in the future, that you're going to get some liberal blaming Dutch.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that might mean, and so let's take another step.
Right.
We need to make sure that
I'm with you. I own an AR-15. I own a bunch of guns. But here's the problem for the party. We got to be seen as seeing the world for what it is. You know, lawful gun ownership is a Second Amendment right. There's a First Amendment right, but there is no right to just wreak havoc on the community. So what I'm trying to do is create a grant program, not a federal law, that will give cops some money to go hire mental health experts to advise them of what cases to take to court. And South Carolina doesn't have a red flag law, and if you don't want, that's up to you, if you don't want one. But the president's determined to do something about this. I don't think he's wrong to want to empower police officers to intervene before it's too late with due process. If I thought this was going to lead to the next step, I wouldn't do it. But the bottom line is the next shooting is coming. I don't know when, but I want the Republican Party to do two things. Defend the Second Amendment, but also defend those who defend us. All right, one more.
Yes, Senator, why are you advancing policies that are hurting your constituents in terms of trade in China?
Okay, I think the best thing that Trump is doing is to stand up to China. Does that make sense to you?
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
So
yes.
why did President Obama call China a currency manipulator? Because they were. Why did President Trump call them a currency manipulator? Because they are. Why did they not do anything? They let the business community talk them out of it. Why is there a $500 billion trade deficit with China? You can't sell our stuff in China, but they sell us almost anything they want to sell us. $500 billion trade deficit is hurting America. What are we asking for? To be able to sell our stuff in China like you sell your stuff here. What are we asking for? If you do business in China, you don't have to turn over all your intellectual property to a Chinese partner who will steal it. What are we asking for? If you got a steel mill in Georgetown, that the Chinese government pays the power bill for Chinese steel mills. The number one cost of producing steel is power. How can any American company compete with China when the government pays the power bill? So I think what I'm doing for my constituents is stopping the Chinese Communist government from destroying the world economy. What do I want them to do? Not much, just play by the rules. I want you to do the same thing we're doing. Open up your markets, give people a chance to make a living. 67% of the tariffs in this world are against the United States. I've got a bill that will allow any president to levy a tariff on the country at the same level they hit us. India has a 100% tariff
There we go.
on all products we sell into India.
Yeah.
Here's a good idea. Let's all go to zero. Here's a bad idea. To put up with this crap. It's a really bad idea to sit on the sidelines and watch your economy be ruined. Yes, there will be some pain, but the pain of surrendering to China is far greater than confronting them. Nobody here can compete with the Chinese government. Nobody here is going to last much longer if we don't rein in China. And when it comes to tariffs, let's treat people like we're treated. Donald Trump has a simplicity about him that I think is refreshing. He said, give me one good reason why I should let a country put 100% tariff on our products and we do zero. Thank you. One more.
Were you there actually, David, Tom Coburn, when y'all met in China with the... He told the story just the other day that I was with him, and he asked them, were y'all going to follow the World Trade Agreement? And he said no, and he turned around and left.
So this is y'all know Tom Coburn. He's like the greatest guy in the history of the world. Good, committed, Christian, good, solid conservative. Been on China ever since they've been cheating us. We go to China, we're sitting down with the commerce guy, and he says, no, we don't cheat. Okay, and what else do you want to tell me? And so Coburn looked at him, will you agree to follow the WTO rules? China is a developed nation, would you agree?
Yes,
They're like
yes.
1.2 billion. They're like well developed. So they play by rules if they were the Dominican Republic. It doesn't matter if the Dominican Republic lowers their currency to get some commodity. It matters a lot if China changes their currency. So he said, no, I will not, we're not going to do that. We shouldn't have to do it. And Coburn got up and left. That made an impact on them and me. So the bottom line is this fight has been talked about for decades by every president in my lifetime, and finally, we got a guy willing to take on China. And if we hang in there, we're going to get this right. We're not doing a bad thing. We're not being mean to China. We're just standing up for the American worker for a change. And everything Trump's doing, some Democrats advocated in the past, up until he did it.
True.
Last question. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm a retired school teacher.
Retired school teacher.
Okay, and
What grade?
I taught high school English.
High school English.
Okay, in the last several years, there have been a lot of cases that have come up with parents upset about Islamic teaching through social studies, the 5 pillars of Islam. Is there any way that we can keep the Islamic influence out of our textbooks.
What county do you live in?
I'm in Richland, but this happened in Somerville.
Okay, well, here's what I promise you. God is my witness. We're not going to teach the 5 pillars of Islam in South Carolina. And I don't know what that's about. I know it ain't happening in Lexington. I know it ain't happening in Walhalla and Pickens. So the bottom line
It
is,
happened in Somerville.
yeah, well, I will look into that. I hear a lot of things that actually didn't happen. Well, let's look at it this way. What makes us great is our ability to tolerate each other. You agree?
Yes.
We got any Presbyterians here? Yeah, woo, y'all are predestined to be here. Thank you for coming. We got any Methodists? Wow, you're Baptists you can read. We got any Baptists? Yeah, that's the rest of them. So here's what I want you to understand. I'm not worried about the Islamic teachings coming to South Carolina. I'm worried about Islamic terrorists coming here. Now, let me tell you where we're exposed. How many times do we have to learn that these people are crazy? There have been more people killed in Afghanistan and Iraq fighting these nut jobs than they have American forces, because the first people they want to kill are Muslims who don't agree with them.
Correct.
Second would be a tie between us and the Jews. Here's the deal. You might do a deal with the Taliban. I'll believe it when I see it. But you're not going to get a deal with ISIS or Al-Qaeda. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
They hate our guts. I don't know why Hitler wanted to kill all the Jews, but he actually wrote a book about it. Why would you give the Ayatollah, ma'am, $150 billion when on the day of the deal he announces, Allah willing, Israel will not exist in 25 years? When they write death to Israel on the missile, you think they're kidding. The Ayatollah is not worried about his re-election. These people are nuts. They would kill everybody here if they could. I've told the president, I'm sorry the war is so long, but it's not going to end until people in the faith stand up and shout these people down. And it's in our interest to help people who will not kill us. There are 6 million women who've gone to school since 2002 in Afghanistan. That's the Taliban's worst nightmare. I don't want to throw them back into the soccer stadiums. It is in our interest to make sure they succeed. We've gone from 140,000 troops to 10,000. The reason the Taliban are at the table is Donald Trump's been kicking their butt. But there will not be a deal with Al-Qaeda and ISIS. And I'm begging the president, do not do in Afghanistan what Obama did in Iraq. The intel is solid, it's real, and every commander says we need some of our people over there to keep them from coming here. Here's the good news. About 10% of what we've had or less will keep America safe. As long as we're watching them over there, they're not going to gather up again. And let me tell you, if you don't watch them, they're going to come here. Look what happened when Obama left Iraq. The Yazidi population was almost destroyed. 400,000 people killed in Syria. And if a Republican had done that, it'd be talked about every day. So, talking about radical Islam, you can't talk about it enough. It is the biggest threat of our lifetime. How many of you believe that if they could kill more than 3,000 Americans, they would? How many of you believe that the only reason they kill 3,000, that's the only way, that's all they could think of is flying planes into a building? If the Iranians develop a nuclear weapon, do you think they would use it?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you think they've been trying to build a bomb, not a power plant? If you don't believe that, you are crazy. The bottom line here is Trump is putting a hold on the Ayatollah, because if he gets a bomb, who else is going to get a bomb? The Arabs.
Everybody.
If you want to start a nuclear arms race in the Mideast, follow the Europeans. If somebody's knocking on your door, the Europeans are here to help you. That is not a good day for you. The Europeans who helped you get World War II right after World War I do not realize that the Ayatollah means what he says. They don't appreciate the dangers to our friends in Israel. There's one country on the planet who will never allow the Ayatollah to break out, and that is our friends in Israel. One Holocaust is enough. Why do I play golf with Trump? Because I like his company. He's a lot of fun. He's a good golfer, but he's our president. To the extent I can influence him, I will. He is open-minded. He asks good questions. He has really put a hurting on ISIS. But when he was going to withdraw from Syria, I pushed back, because we're not there yet. The Kurds would be slaughtered if we left. And how do you get people to help you in the future if you abandon those who helped you in the past? So this is a complicated world, but here's the good news. We're going to win. Most people don't want to go back to the 11th century, including people in Islam. We're going to stand up to these people. We're going to fight the war in their backyard and not ours. We're going to have a military that can hit them before they hit us, and we're going to do it with partners, not by ourselves. We're going to keep the taxes in this country competitive with the world. We're going to keep the government in its place, and we're going to grow the private sector, and we're going to take the next 4 years between 20 and 24 and flood the court with conservatives. I don't know, it's in God's hands, but there could be 1 or 2 more openings on the Supreme Court. This is the most important election in your lifetime. We say that every year because we want to raise money, but it's true now. I've got an opponent. He's raising money, but because of you, I'm going to win. I want to go all over this country to the extent I can to help this president to explain to the country the choices you have. The choices you have are night and day. Why do I believe we're going to win? Because Trump has been a good president, and what they're offering the country fundamentally changes the United States. This is not on the margins. I believe in the American people. I believe in the heart and soul of this country. We've fought too long and too hard and overcome too much to sit on the sidelines. Well, I got news for you. We're not going to sit on the sidelines. And there's going to be a turnout in 2020 like you've never seen. And we're going to kick their butt. And the reason I didn't use the other word is because of these 3 kids. God bless you. Thank you very much.
I don't think anyone could say it better than that, but I have just one more thing to add.